220825, the City of Great Forest, produced and proposed by the Mayor Waldrop during August 23rd, 2022 City Council meeting, changing the boundary of the property of 19215 Scenic Loop. 19215 Scenic Loop Road property is one and the same as Scenic Springs Event Center. The agenda item for the special meeting is to discuss and take action on the unauthorized mapping of the city and misrepresentation of the zoning map. I don't understand what is meant by unauthorized mapping and misrepresentation of the zoning map. My interpretation of the proposal is to take action that would facilitate Scenic Springs in its effort to circumvent the zoning ordinances already in place, which restricts the use of the property by remapping their property.
Thank you, Donna. Jennifer Nottingham?
To be determined.
Yes, ma'am. Madeline?
Okay, I have two items that I would like to discuss. One of them, I know it's not, we've taken the budget off, but one of those things is under our part of the budget, which is the community center. I'm requesting that in the budget that the Great Forest Community Boards, that this building, that this referred to as the community center. It's not the clubhouse, and when the land was conveyed, that this became for the community and not just for a club. Regardless of how important a role SLPC played, this is now called the community center. My second item that I would like to address is that of the reserve officers. I like 24/7 police protection. I don't know about you, but I sure do. Helotes right now, they have 20 full-time officers, and within the past 30 to 60 days, they have been talking with Renee, and they are now, they're going to be hiring 35 reserve officers because this is so much more efficient. I think that's a good use of our tax dollars, $12,000, $18,000 for liability insurance when that will pay for 24/7. I just can't believe that we would say, oh, we're not going to do that. I didn't understand how that all worked, but I've since educated myself. And for all those reserve officers, absolutely. So I just want to give my support to this idea of keeping reserve officers.
Thank you, Madeline. Lou?
I'll hold.
Mitch?
Okay, a couple of things. First, since we're pitching pennies to try to keep the lights on, because we're so far in the hole, I'm wanting to know how much the public information request from Dr. Snyder is going to cost for all the emails, text, everything like that for the attorney to go through to make sure they're not proprietary information that's not publicly available, because it's going to have to go to the attorney, so it's going to cost a lot of money. Have we changed the ordinance on chipping? Because the way I read it is you get 2 piles and the rest of them are for free, and I know the guys have been doing a lot of chipping lately, and I don't know if we're charging for it or not, but I understand that we can't charge it, but that new chipper's not in yet, so currently we can still charge for it. And then I'm kind of with Madeline on the whole police thing. I think it's too cheap. I know that when Rich took office over there in Helotes, he had a conversation with our chief, and chief told him, said, you know, property crimes are going up, and they got hit, I mean, relentlessly last like April, May, in that time frame. Their property crimes went way up. That's why they're looking at bringing in reserves, because it's a cost-effective way to do it. You know, defunding police, destroying the department, it ends in the same result. So I think we're going to have to take our 0% stickers and change them to maybe 50 to 60%. That's all I got.
Thank you, Mitch. Tammy San Clemente. You good? Okay. Becky?
I'll wait.
Dr. Sandra Schneider?
I'll hold.
Laura Chafee? I'll wait. Michael Phillips?
Something important that I think got lost was from the 1 September meeting. That was that a member of council accused 3 other members first degree, depending on how much money was actually stolen. So I want the minutes in this meeting to record the fact that the mayor accused 3 members of council of trying to cover up the crime. That's all I have, except for
Thank
supporting
you.
24/7 police. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Kathy Waldrop. Oh, okay. That's, yeah, I'm not feeling that. So maybe I can keep that. And then we have a letter that was emailed in. Please read during the citizen portion of the meeting. Hello, my name is Andy Jackson, a Gray Forest resident for quite some time. It appears that the political smear campaign continues unabated, even in the absence of the primary muckraker. I understand from reading the reactions that she has returned to social media in some bewildering attempt to defame the mayor and the citizens that did not elect her. I make heavy use of the blocking feature, so I don't see what they're reacting to. What I do know is that it has to stop soon, and it has to stop here. The duly elected officials of this council cannot sit idly by while the bitterness and bile of leftovers and appointees waste everyone's time in some futile schemes to plot to overturn the results of a fair and honest election. If Susan Dar still wants to be mayor, she will have to try again in the next election. I would like to encourage the council to strike items D, E, and F from the meeting agenda, as they are clearly nothing more than stonewall and obstruction efforts pursued by those with related political axes to graft. At this time, I would like to petition any elected council member to bring the following motion. To censure councilperson Kim Verity with regard to her conduct in the budget workshop special meeting held September 1st, 2022. For inappropriate speech and behavior directed at the citizens, council members, and the mayor, wherein such indiscretions were related to ongoing city litigation, and whereas the same may jeopardize the city's position if used in court. And whereas said conduct exposes the taxpayers to Gray Forest to further erroneous expenses which we might not otherwise incur. Further motion is hereby made that Mrs. Verity be required to post bond with the city of Gray Forest in the amount of $75,000 to be forfeited to the city should judgment against the city be found in the matter to which Ms. Verity made public reference. Further, that Ms. Verity's position be counted as vacant and null until such time the aforementioned bond is posted. Thank you, Andy Jackson. And then we have one from Kay McCloskey that says, to the mayor of Gray Forest, my comments regarding the agenda for the September 20th, 2022 City Council meeting follow as I have standing comment on the third Tuesday of the month and am not able to attend. The agenda for tonight's meeting blatantly shows you are using your perceived power of your office to resolve personal vendettas and other stated egregious attempts at misuse of power. I would be remiss if I did not state my concern over issues of the dismantling of our police force, resulting in our reduced security. Know that when our crime rate soars and thieves begin preying on our citizens, hopefully no one is seriously injured or killed as a result of our lack of 24/7 security. I support and am proud that elected council members Kim Verity and Sean Skaggs are stepping up to challenge your attempt to throw the city into chaos. Hopefully the council as a whole will see fit to take actions to remove you from office before Gray Forest suffers more decline and insecurity. Submitted, Kathleen McCloskey. All right, so let's see. We are going to close the regular council meeting at this time and open the public hearing at 6:43. This public hearing is to receive comments on the proposed fiscal year 2022-23 operating budget beginning October 1, 2022 and ending on September 30th, 2023 for the city of Gray Forest. Does anyone have anything that they would like to comment on this? Crickets. Does the council have any discussion, right?
So first is your close the public hearing, because when we get to the discussing items, that's in council meeting session. So if there are no hearings.
Okay, so nobody has any comments on the budget?
Can't hear what she's saying.
Do you have comments on the budget?
She said,
Oh, she was saying it to me that y'all have to get the opportunity to speak first, and then we're gonna close the hearing if no one has anything to say about the budget.
Correct. Council will have its opportunity to discuss at a later agenda item time. My apologies.
Yes, Holly?
I've never heard anybody talk about stopping 24/7 coverage for our community. Has that been talked about, like we're gonna do our 50 reserves, or? What,
Can,
I mean,
is
I've
that
heard,
okay?
I have heard.
Well, there, it is about the liability.
So I understand that there are many questions about certain issues, but because this is a public hearing at this point, specifically on the budget itself.
That's the police part of the budget.
Okay, let me answer your question as it regards to the budget. No, no money has been cut that would affect reserve officers out of this budget.
I was just wondering what all the work was done.
Yes.
The original proposal of the budget, did it have cuts to the liability line item?
I believe so. Yes, Sunshine. Matt, Sunshine, sorry.
Yeah, sometimes great, thank you. So, how many reserve officers can you afford, just give or take?
Well, we budgeted $28,000, which is about what we have spent this year on the liability.
So in theory, we should have about the same size.
It's about the hours, really. So, yes, the hours should remain the same. As long as they're not, I mean, it's based on hours.
So, I'm not as well informed as I should be. I thought it was how much the liability costs per reserve officer we have.
No, it's how much liability costs per hour of work from the police department or from the reserve officer.
Does 28,000 equate to X number of hours of coverage?
I don't remember what the hours were this year. Do you remember? It was like, Scott, do you remember? You figured it, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like 192 per officer, and then you times that by 50 officers, you know, so whatever that is, close to 10,000 an hour maybe.
Is that like 24-hour coverage, I guess is what you're
Well,
trying
I'm just trying, so more or less, in theory,
Everything has stayed the same.
that's, okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Yes.
But that's not true, because your presentation to council included a dramatic cut in that number. It was council that added that number back. Your original submission to council had an 81% reduction.
That's
in
actually
the-
not true, but I do
It is
understand because you were missing from the first meeting.
No,
But
I read
that-
what was posted.
Yes,
on
but
the
those
city's
numbers
website.
were changed before we ever had a budget hearing.
So you posted an incorrect document?
No.
We posted a proposed budget.
Yes,
As-
it is the mayor's budget as
That's not,
presented
this
to
isn't
city
the
council.
discussion that we're having. Does anyone else have comments on the
Point
budget?
of order. I'm sorry, point of order, Mayor. I understand that there are some very hot button and contentious issues right now. I understand that these are very hot button issues, but we do want to make sure that we maintain order and a sense of decorum at this meeting. And so what we're going to do is we're keeping track of who has already commented for this public hearing. And so if you have already commented, please understand that we will not, if you'll raise your hand once more, in an effort to maintain and keep this meeting moving forward, we will not be able to readdress any comments that you may have on the budget. Also, we do want to kind of avoid this back and forth. That's typically not appropriate for presentations by citizens or even at public hearings. So we will do our best to make sure that we address your questions and with answers of fact and statements of fact. But understand that I may need to step in if it seems that there's too much back and forth. Again, in order to comply with the rules of decorum and order that we have established for our meetings. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Laura?
So does the budget for the police still include the police chief who has issued his resignation?
It does at this time, because we didn't get the resignation until after.
Okay, so are we accepting his resignation and want to still have his?
I don't, that is not an issue that has been discussed at this time.
Okay.
Mitch?
So on the budget, the trash, what decision was made on that? Was it to go to once a week?
Yes.
And what about the giving C6 the exclusive right for roll-up
Yes.
dumpsters? Okay, and how do you propose to enforce that? Is it enforceable? Because, again, I have a friend who's got a dumpster business, and when I get ready to remodel my studio, I give it for about $300, when C6 is paying like $600 or $800.
Yes, I appreciate that. We can answer those questions. If you email the secretary, we can answer those questions. However, there are steps and we are in the process of making sure that it is enforceable. Yes, sir. Is that Andy?
Yes.
Yes.
Typically, Mitch, when you order a dumpster and you request for an address, they'll look it up, and if somebody has proprietary on that, they'll tell you that. And they'll tell you have to use C6, is all they do there.
Probably cheaper to pay the fine.
Might be, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyone else? All right, then we are going to close the public hearing at 6:50. And we are going to open the public hearing regarding the tax rates. It is a public hearing